Thirsty. Hey, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 297 of our Get Your Goals annual challenge. Today we're talking about, as we have in all month, the area and aspect of the life framework, contribution. How do we show up in the world? How do we interact with the rest of the world? What kind of a legacy or impression do we leave? And today's topic is contribution, code of conduct. Do you have a code of conduct that you live by? And we talked about our own personal motto yesterday, and today we're talking about a code of conduct. A code of conduct is something we see in open source online. If you're online at all, you know what open source information is. And there's rules we follow in online marketing and online groups and in online behavior. There's rules at the beginning, which are basically a code of conduct of how you behave when you're in a certain group or on a certain page or on a certain type of network. And we have workplace codes of conduct. I don't know about you, but we had a lot of codes of conduct and expectations when it came to different work environments. Now what's acceptable nowadays is very different than what was acceptable when I first started in corporate America. In corporate America, remember when I went to Procter & Gamble, my first job out of college, we had a whole week-long, not indoctrination, but training program and orientation same thing happened when I went to college. We had orientation, what was expected, what the code of conduct was. Schools have codes of conduct, right? Especially private schools. This is how you are expected to dress, behave, speak, etc. We were out for lunch yesterday afternoon, and there was, when you first went into this mall, it's called La Cantera in San Antonio. And there is a whole thing of code of conduct and how you're expected to behave when you are on the premises. And if you don't, guess what? There's going to be ramifications. So our code of conduct has several key elements. One is transparency. It's out there for everybody to see. So nobody can say, hey, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the rules were. I didn't know what the guidelines were, etc. It's shared right up front. It's usually displayed predominantly and in public places. A lot of people with personal brands put it on their website, put it on their any communication that they have it as a tagline in their social media, etc. It's part of why we're looking at this. What do you stand for, and why are you here? And what kind of a legacy? What do you want to leave? What kind of a mark do you want to leave on the planet for having been here? So it's transparent. It is I can't read my writing. It's got enforcement. It's enforceable. It is got a review process, and it's got, I can't read my own writing. That's hilarious. I just did this morning. Insecurity or something. But the benefits are conflict resolution, positive culture. We make sure that people know what to expect. It attracts talent. It avoids legal issues, and it gives us some legal protection. If people were to question our code of conduct or how we behave and how we show up in the world. Inclusivity, that's what it is. Boy, my writing sometimes is super duper bad, and even the magnifying glass doesn't help. So when you're crafting your own code of conduct, what does that look like? Number one, you want to set objectives. What are your objectives? Why are you here? What's important to you? You want to make sure that you have inclusivity and diversity. We're not specifically trying to avoid, we're trying to help certain people and be for them, but that doesn't mean we're against everybody else. It shares behavioral expectations. Hey, this is how you're expected to behave. If you come on my pages, you come in my groups, you're not going to spam. If you do, you're getting kicked out. It addresses conflict. If you come in and cause and start fights or be rude to other people, you're going to get kicked out. It talks about enforcement. Enforcement is the next step in that. Hey, if this happens, you get kicked out. On each of my groups, every group that I have on Facebook and other platforms, there's rules up front and there's guidelines. And before you even get in, you have to agree not to spam. There's preliminary questions. And if you don't answer them, you don't get in the group. If you answer them in a way that is dishonest, you get kicked out of the group. If you say you're not going to spam and then you come in and your first post is spam, how long do you think you're going to last in any of my groups? Not very long, a millisecond perhaps. And then finally, it talks about training and awareness. We want to include training and awareness. How do we make sure people are aware of who we are, what we stand for, what our expectations are, and how we're going to conduct ourselves when we're interacting with one another. Lots of people post their rules up front. Lots of corporations, you walk in the front door and they got their mission, their vision, their purpose, their goals and values, their code of conduct right in the front of it. Any organization that you join, you should be sharing your expectations and they should be sharing theirs with you. And they ought to have a code of conduct. Most organizations do nowadays. If they don't ask, maybe volunteer to be part of creating that for the organization. It's a way you could contribute in a positive way. So again, examples: workplace codes of conduct, the mall code of conduct, open source, online groups, etc. So that's it. If I can help you in any way, of course, our action item is to create our own code of conduct today. My dog is sending me a bunch of pictures. All right, talk soon. Bye. Sorry, couldn't.